All right, everyone. Hello, my name is Calvin Wu, and this is my Courseware Tools final project. And so for my project, I decided to perform an experiment detailing the effectiveness of a video lecture on learning. So this project is important to me because I'm currently in the process of developing a startup. After I graduate, I hope to get that up and running. And one of the ways that we're interested in developing content is through this kind of video lecture. So seeing as I have had zero experience, it felt like a good time to kind of get my feet wet, kind of see what are the struggles that I have in developing the content and implementing it. Overall, the experiment, it was The experiment was how effectively are students able to learn from a video lecture in the 7th and 8th grade. So I created a video to teach cell mitosis to 7th and 8th grade students, and to do so and to measure it, I administered a pretest to kind of gauge where the students were at, a little bit of practice to work with the material briefly, and then finally a post-test to gauge the level of learning that occurred. Due to the design of the experiment, the students that came in, it was separated into two separate sessions. The first session was the pretest and the practice, and the second session was the post-test. I'll get into that a little more later. I also collected survey data from the students so I could analyze what sort of things that students enjoyed, what kind of feedback they had. I also utilized TPAC to create the video content. I wanted to utilize video technology, to create a mass producible content that I could effectively use over and over again to teach the same material in the same sort of way to have consistency going forward in the teaching. UDL was also utilized to help diversify learning by addressing pacing concerns. One of the things that I find that video does very effectively is you can rewind, and students can learn at their own pace. If they miss something, they don't have to, other students aren't hindered by it. It's a very individualized process that really addresses the pacing concern. So this experiment took place at the Regency Kumon Math and Reading Center. It is a center that my family owns and operates. The participants were the 7th and 8th grade students at that center, some of them, not all of them. I also, so in analyzing these students, I wanted to make sure I got enough data on them, and I separated them out into advanced and non-advanced students. The advanced students are students in the IB Middle Years program, or MYP program. Now going into the pretest consisted of just 8 questions on mitosis that I derived and wrote out. The video content was created at home right here using Open Broadcasting Software Studio, which you can see right here. This is it. So you have all these buttons, all this cool stuff, and you can go ahead and use that to either do live streaming or recording and capturing video. I'm able to put my webcam in the corner. I can go ahead and really see anything. Okay, yeah. So I can move all these things around and kind of have my video the way I want it, pretty much. So going into the post-test, of course, the post-test consisted of a blank diagram of the cell where students were required to draw in their own representation of what had occurred. So they had 6 kind of spheres that went around, and students would go in and they would say, oh, okay, in metaphase, all the chromosomes line up in the plate, and they would draw that in and say metaphase plate or something like that. And they would be scored accordingly. Okay, on to the results. Student number, their grade, advanced, yes or no. Pretest score out of 8, the pretest score percentage, post-test score out of 12, and post-test score. I decided to use the percentages to measure their improvement due to the fact that the pretest was out of 8, post-test was out of 12. Didn't make sense to compare 8 and 12 and just look at the scores that way. It didn't kind of jive with me. and also the survey results. So the survey was kind of done informally. I went and basically after each student was finished with the experiment, I would just go and ask them several questions, got their feedback, and these were some of the responses that I got. So what did you like most about the video? They said, I like your voice. It was very instructional, which was kind of nice to hear. The explanations matched the notes. It was easy to understand, which was good. I asked them what they didn't like about the video. Some students like to get cheeky with me because I had known them for, you know, many years now. Some of them like 5-6 years since they were in preschool. So one of them was basically just told me, I just don't like biology. And I didn't know what else to say to that, but I thought it'd be fun to add that in there. A lot of students also wish that the drawings were animated so that they could maybe understand that better. And then I asked them if the ability to go back and watch parts over again, you know, the UDL principle of being able to address the pacing. And students said yes, it helps sort of, but they wished that someone could explain more if they needed help. And I asked them if it was fun. Some of them said not really, just don't like school. Okay, I understand. They were there for, they were in school, they come after school to the center, and then they did their own work at the center for about an hour, and then after that they participated in this experiment, so I could see why they would be a little kind of tired of it. They said it was okay. Some students did say it was fun and they enjoyed it. They liked, they enjoyed learning. So moving on the discussion. So some students did seem to enjoy the video. Not really sure if this is just because they enjoyed seeing me in the video doing something outside of, you know, tutoring them in the tutoring center. But some students did say they enjoyed it. There were a lot of complaints about the post-test being too difficult. That being said, I felt that the post-test was the most effective way to gauge if actual learning had occurred versus them just going through a multiple choice test to kind of help eliminate the kind of rote memorization from the content, seeing if they were able to create the content themselves, and to assess that. Overall, the video method was somewhat effective. There's an improvement of 20.9%. Students also requested, a lot of them, additional explanation, which I was not able to give them due to the nature of the experiment, but the students did express that, oh, I wish you could have explained things to me a little bit more. I wish you, if I needed help on this one section, you could have sat me down and been like, oh, okay, so this is what's really going on, this is how this works, and this is why this works, so on and so forth. And kind of maybe reword things for them so they could understand better. So all these results were due to several factors. Many of it was this potential error. I think there was definitely more research needed on actual development of content. So far, it was mostly just focused on creating the content and trying to, you know, make something. So maybe going into a little more research on the actual development of content and what that means, how to make content effectively. Also, I noticed that the lack of ability for explanations and clarifications in a video format was a glaring issue. So the downfall of video lectures is then everything that you say in them is kind of, that's the way you do it. And there's no other way for you to kind of get another explanation in there, unless you want to just make the video longer. So, if a student doesn't really understand a concept, there's no other way to kind of explain it to them in the video. They have to go somewhere else. If the video doesn't explain it, then that's it. That's that. Set in stone kind of deal. So things to address for the future, definitely more research on developing content, and definitely changes to the experimental design. I definitely would have liked to have students in there the entire time, maybe to go through, you know, the pre-test, the practice, and the video, as well as the post-test all in one go, to kind of help eliminate that error where they see the content and then they kind of lose it after like 3 or 4 days, and they come back and they don't perform as well. So I guess it's a different experiment, kind of testing their lasting knowledge based on video content, but I would have liked to see how much they actually learned from seeing the video and going into the test. thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I had a great time creating it, and I will see you guys later. Thank you very much.